I'm not the smartest on that.
Maybe you should go check out Battle of the Beams. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're talking about. I'm familiar with it. I'm just trying to answer Lion's question because I don't want to be, you know.
Yeah, well, that can't work on a globe. Case closed.
Well, that's not necessarily true. That's the problem.
The scattering would render it completely useless. So that's definitely not happening.
No. No.
Well, the signal by necessity had to be like 150 yards wide or less in order for it to be effective. And scattering would bring it to like over a mile wide in the best case scenario.
Yo, you guys talking about Battle of the Beams?
Yeah, he said something about radar, so yeah.
Yeah, it's just two line of sight towers basically using cross sections of beam signals, right, to create an echo signal for the plane to fly through. You know, it's flying through one signal. It goes beep, beep, beep. Then it hits the other signal, beep, 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 and then boom, drop the bomb.
And how long did they do that for? Like a year, right? Just bombing.
Yeah, they bombed at night. They didn't know where the hell they were flying to. They were just going by the signal, and it's just an echo signal.
Straight line propagation, Verdak.
Yeah.
Wasn't that radio signals?
No.
Oh, here we go. No, it's bounced. You're just gonna say it's bouncing off the ionosphere now?
Well,
No,
isn't it radio? Is it radio?
If it was diffracting, then it wouldn't be a solid signal. And
It was radio waves. It was like UHF and VHF. I remember.
Okay, so I can pick up UHF without any distortion or in the quality of the sound, the music or whatever, the voice, without having line of sight of the transmission tower.
Yeah, well, it was a line of sight transmission tower, so that's the difference. We're not talking about an omnidirectional signal that can bounce off of the ionosphere with low frequency. We're not talking about that. We're talking about line of sight.
Right, line of sight.
That's the key. Wow. And then the British are basically like, oh, it's impossible. The Germans don't have access to that. It's impossible due to the curvature of the globe.
Well, but the irony
is they were wrong.
Where does it say that?
The irony is that
R.B. Jones, baby.
Beast. Like the irony is that you cannot point out to a glober, right, about refraction of light, and then discount. It's not refraction, but like how radar and radio waves work. Like that's the whole problem about this argument. I saw Alan's presentation, but he was wrong on so many.
What's your refutation?
I'm just saying, like.
What's your refutation? Don't just be like, oh, it's wrong because it's wrong. What's your refutation?
Because radar itself, radar itself, right? It emits. So a radar just emits.
It's not radar.
Huh?
It's not radar. It's not omnidirectional. It's a line of sight. It's a line of sight towered.
Why is radar omnidirectional?
I'm saying it's not. It wasn't a radar signal.
He don't believe you, bro. They don't believe it.
Isn't radar displayed on a two-dimensional screen? Does it show you any up and down on that radar?
Nope.
Radar and radio are very similar, but they're not omnidirectional. I don't know where this is coming from.
The point is, it's not analogous, dog. We're talking about a line of sight communication tower. Two towers, in two different locations, creating a triangle, essentially, over the target location, right? It's an echo signal that is formed when it crosses each other. One plane flies in one signal, right? They fly through it the whole time at night, and then as soon as they hear the beeps coincide with each other, that's how they know when to drop the bomb.
Well, hold on. So line of sight transmissions via radio or FM.
Yes, so they have to fly
HF
within a certain range. Otherwise, they lose the signal, and they don't know where the fuck they're going because they're flying at night.
Okay, that's FM, right? That's line of sight. FM is obscured by mountains. It's obscured by the Earth's curvature. Like it's obscured by so many things.
Yeah, it should be,
That's
but
the
it wasn't.
point. That's the point, dude.
Exactly. Yeah, it wasn't.
Curvature was not a problem.
That's the entire point of the Battle of the Beams being a globe killer.
Globe killer.
Yeah, you like that, Paza?
Because they only used FM? Is that what it was?
Paza thinks because he can't see it that it doesn't have range to reach that far.
No, look, it's just it's a specific beam width that the plane has to fly through. Okay, they start at one tower, right? They're flying in a straight line, and the signal, basically, if they start veering off the signal path, right, then the beeps would be less and less. So they have to stay in that line of sight the entire 500 miles, all the way to Derby, I believe it was. And then as soon as they hit that cross signal that's also firing above Derby, where you'll get that beep, 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 and then beep, 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 boom, drop the bomb. Totally flying blind at night, just completely relying on the signal. It's complete line of sight. There's no way to explain it. The Brits even say in a report, no, that's impossible. The Germans wouldn't have access to. That's impossible because of the Earth curve. That wouldn't make sense. Until I think it was R.V. Jones that basically proved it to. I can't remember the other guy's name, but he proved it to the guy that was skeptical by creating his own like MacGyver type tower to basically prove that there was a signal being sent from the Germans, and they had to counteract it. But it's, yeah. I mean, you can't say, oh, it's diffraction, or it's tropospheric induction, where it's following the line, the curve of the Earth. You can't say that because if it diffracts in any way, then the signal would be broken up, and then the plane would have to pick it up at certain pockets. But that's not what happened. You can watch the video. Like it's just a clear echo signal.
Why do you say it's broken up? I mean, we get radio signals diffracting all the time. You still get good quality audio out of it.
Because if it diffracts, then that means it's not a solid echo signal, and then the pilot would lose signal.
I don't think you realise how wide the bandwidth on these signals was.
It's 150 yards.
No, the wide the bandwidth on the signals.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, because
I mean, a straight line of sight, right? So just think about it like this, right? If it's over a ball and you're shooting a straight line of sight signal, that signal would eventually rise up into the air, and that the plane would basically be under that signal if it was a ball, because it would have to follow the curve of the Earth. But it doesn't. It's just a line of sight.
You're pretending that the radio doesn't work with transmission towers that are covered by terrain.
It's 200 meters high, bro.
If it refracted, it would completely throw it off, and they would miss.
Exactly.
Why would it refract? If one of the beams travelled twice as far as the other one, how much of a delay would there be in the beam signal?
I don't know. I don't got all the math in front of me, bro.
No, the thing is, they're listening with their ears for beep, 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 or beep, 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 beep.
Yep.
You're talking about something that's travelling at such a speed that even if it went twice as far, you wouldn't notice any desynchronization.
But you were also hinting at a retrans site, which is not what Beast and Lion are talking about. So just...
It's a solid signal the whole way through for 500 miles. Line of sight.
You keep saying line of sight, but a radio signal does not have to be line of sight, and I still get it.
Yeah, no shit, but this one was line of sight. That's the point.
You keep saying that, but nowhere in any documentation does it say line of sight.
Look up. That's why it's called Battle of the Beams. It's literally beams, bro. It's two
Where
beams.
Does it say,
two signal beams.
I'm looking at it now. Where does it say line of sight anywhere?
The Knickerbein system?
Hold on,
Look
I'll
up
find
the
it for you, dude.
Knickerbein.
Logic dictates that it would be because they wouldn't want to be able to let their enemies be able to pick up that signal. Also part of the reason it was configured the way it was.
Yeah. They literally call it the Lorenz beam. Here's a picture.
Yeah, it doesn't say line of sight anywhere in
Here we
the
go.
documentation. You're not listening to what I'm saying, are you?
The equisignal area in the center grows narrower and more accurate as the aircraft approaches the runway. So it has to stay in the center of the signal. There is no diffraction. Here's another picture. It's just two beams. One of them, one plane flies in one beam. Okay. It goes all the way towards Derby. Once it gets towards Derby, and then the other signal crosses with the plane, it goes beep 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 beep. That's when they know to drop the bomb because they're flying at night. They don't see the target. They actually do not see anything. They're just going by the signal sound. So it's just a straight beam. Still haven't heard a good rebuttal from a Glober.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we use triangulation all the time when it comes to like seeing collection teams, and I'm looking at this, and that's what it seems like. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out though, like
if it's 500 miles away, okay?
Yeah.
Just calculate how much curvature there would be.
Well, it depends on detection, right? So like.
Yeah, but also triangles require straight lines.
Yeah, flat baseline. It's the same thing. It's just creating a triangle with radio signals.
Well, you're getting hung.
Look, Matthias just posted it. Line of sight with line of sight to their targets.
Yeah, in quotes. Yeah.
There you go.
What is it? When they put it in quotes like that, what are they doing?
Making sure you understand that it is line of sight, not something else other than line of
omnidirectional signal that can bounce off the ionosphere, and you can just hand wave dismiss it. This is a line of sight. There's no actual good rebuttal to it.
If the signal bounced off the ionosphere and came down from one of the transmitters,
and it would break it up, and the pilot would not know where he is.
No, it wouldn't. That's completely untrue. Do the math.
You're just saying that. You're just saying it's diffraction.
Yeah, why is it untrue? What? No, you got to back up the fact that you said it's untrue. He's showing you evidence that it's true, so you need to provide the counter evidence that it's not true.
Right, traveling. Well, let me keep telling me. Right, let me stop. Rather than continuously tell me to counter it, then let me counter it. Okay, right. If one of them, when the signals was bouncing to something and then got there, yeah, at the speed of these radio signals, yeah, the delay would be an absolute tiny fraction of one of these audible beeps.
So you're claiming a delay when there's literally no record of delay.
No, you're not listening to what I'm saying. If the radio, look, I can pick up a radio station from a transmitter which I don't have optical line of sight to.
Okay, that's not analogous. We're talking about line of sight.
Well, you're not. You're not talking about line of sight.
Dude, it literally says a line of sight to their targets.
When they're flying over Derby, if they turn around, they can't see the radio transmitter.
This isn't the only experiment that's been done line of sight. Like we've used different waves, experimented with different waves. People experimented, not me personally.
Who's we?
We have not me personally, but people who've been studying line of sight propagation. We have 300 mile, 400 mile propagation in the Pacific. Line of sight. I think one is they use microwaves or X-rays or some shit like that. Ones that wouldn't, like refraction is not gonna help you, bro. Right, bouncing off the ionosphere is not going to help you. These waves will not bounce off the ionosphere. They don't bounce off of mountains or anything like that. So there's certain waves that would help to demonstrate that these things are happening line of sight. Paza. I know you want to invoke refraction. I know you want to cope and it's refraction. No, dude, refraction is not going to help you in this instance. They're using FM frequencies, which might have they might have some refractive effect, but it would, if there any refraction would throw off the signal. It would actually make the bombs miss the target.
Why?
Because of the way it's set up, the triangulation, the way it's set up, it would miss.
Listen to this. The beam angles were so dramatically reduced that it was only a few tens of yards wide over the target, dog.
Yeah, that's across the surface. That's across the surface. Yeah, up and
Yeah.
down. What about up and
This
down?
is radio, though. It's radio, Beast. Like
Yeah,
Dude,
this.
it's a line
Right,
of
okay.
sight beam
But it's
radio signal that's within tens of yards of the target, dog. That's just a straight line.
That's not how radio signals work. Like I don't.
Yeah.
That's what I'm struggling with. Like it's a
They would.
radio.
I'm gonna give you an olive branch, right? They would have to calibrate and take into consideration the type of refraction, the amount of refraction for it to hit the target, dude.
But
Why?
And they weren't doing that, dude. They weren't doing
They're
that.
not. You're saying that, but you don't understand that. What I said to you a minute ago is even if one of the beams travelled twice as far as the other, at the speed that the beams propagate, it wouldn't be noticeable in the beep bandwidth.
That doesn't refute the argument at all. So it doesn't matter.
Well,
the
I
speed
mean,
of the beams, that doesn't matter at all.
I don't think you understand what the ramifications of what I just said is.
It doesn't matter. It literally does not matter.
Okay.
You want it. I mean, that's what radio is, right? It's electromagnetic.
Well, how would it work if that's not how radio is? It wouldn't even work then.
Your ramifications don't equal curvature.
It's flying over a flat surface, buddy.
I mean,
That's it.
and
It's just a line of sight.
The whole reason we went from FM to like UHF, VHF, and all this stuff was to because it goes like you can actually bounce it off of the atmosphere. I mean, that's another part of it. So I totally get this point. I do, but I don't get how I don't know the line of sight thing, man. Like propagation is a thing. Like it's very
Just read the Wikipedia page,
I'm
and you'll see what we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm reading it. Yeah.
Read it. The beam from a single transmitter would guide the bombers toward the target, but could not tell them where they were over it. To add this ranging feature, a second transmitter, similar to the first, was set up so its beam crossed the guidance beam at a point where the bomb should be dropped. So it's two straight line beams
No, that's
that
not
cross each other. And then the pilot knows when to drop the bomb when the other signal is crossing the first signal that they're flying through. That's why they were so accurate, and that's why they had to create countermeasures, because they were like, what the fuck? They're bombing us at night. So they literally had to create their own countermeasure signal to disrupt that beam. That was the only way.
Yeah, they were sending Morse code via radio. I'm reading it now. It totally makes sense.
Yeah.
But that's not line of sight. You have multiple transmission points. Like that's not line of sight. So even if the Earth
I'll read it. I'll just read it real quick. Due to the nature of radio propagation, this allowed its two beams to be pointed much more accurately than combined from a similarly sized antenna. The echo signal area was only about 100 yards wide at a distance of 200 miles from the antenna.
But it was multiple transmission sites. That's what you guys are missing.
No, it's not. It's just two towers. It's one tower and another tower, and they cross each other. It's very simple. That's it.
He's saying there's relay tower.
There is no relay tower. It's over water. What are you talking about?
I know that's what he's saying.
There's no relay towers to it. It's just
all
two
right,
sources.
dude, Verdak, relax.
I'm not
There's
saying
no relay towers.
I'm not saying that.
Over water, dude. Fuck.
If it wasn't a beam, how would they fly in a straight line?
Exactly.
I think the labeling of this is where this came from.
You gotta understand, they were flying at night. They could not see. Completely reliant on it. That was the advantage they had.
Yeah, but that's why maps and compasses are important, and gyros.
Okay, let's go to a different argument.
Is also, deny. So, I mean, but I'm with you on this one. All right.
Here we go. Now we're gonna go with satellites, GPS, dude. Come on, man.
I'm reading.
Listen, let's just take the win. We'll just take the win with Battle of the Beams, and that's that. Until we get an actually suitable refutation, rather than invoking shit that didn't happen, like a relay tower or diffraction.
I didn't say that. A relay tower. I'll take the loss for here. I'm gonna look into this because it's kind of interesting. Because I deal with radio, so.
Yeah, so Verdak was gone while the Battle of the Beams started coming on Discord.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I think he maybe missed all this content. So give him a
Oh
chance.
shit! I'll post him. I'll post it for him.
I'm looking at various blogs that people are talking about this, and they're talking about
Hey, Verdak. You too, Paza, if you want.
Look, Riggs sends me shit all the time. I'm down.
Okay, I just tagged you twice.
What about this quote from somewhere? Another milestone of German radar technology was the radar station in Knickerbein, one of the first over-the-horizon devices. The operating frequency was 30 megahertz, i.e. the upper end of the shortwave range. By using the reflection of the emitted and received signals on the conductive ionosphere layers and the Earth's surface, ranges of several thousand kilometers have been achieved.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's saying that the signal is in altitude. The signal is bouncing up and down as it propagates across
Where does
the
it say it
surface.
bounces? It doesn't say it bounces, bro.
They have
it
to.
just
Yeah,
said-
they have to rationalize that. They have to
Okay,
say
well,
that.
it says by using the reflection of the emitted and received signals on the conductive ionospheric layers and the Earth's surface, ranges of several thousand kilometers have been achieved.
That's where I was getting tossed up because I was reading something about the battle beams and how they executed it, and it sounds like they were using that propagation. Like I
just
read
read it, bro.
Yeah, I knew
Look
you
into
guys
it.
were gonna bring that. I called it right away, dude. The ionosphere.
Yeah. Well, that's all they can do. They can just invoke the ionosphere or tropospheric induction or the scattering E layer. Like it's just unfalsifiable claims to explain this away.
You know something must be coming into play because, like I say, there could be a radio station in another valley, and I can pick up the radio signal in another valley.
No, I don't believe that something has to come into play because I don't believe that Earth's a ball. Like you guys have to say, something has to explain it.
You're
That's
not
your
going to
guys'
address.
burden.
You're not going to address the simple statement I made, though, are you? I can pick up a radio signal when I don't have line of sight to the transmission.
which you can do. Like
you can do that. Yeah.
Well, that means it must be bouncing or bending around things to get to me.
That's not analogous to the Battle of the Beams configuration. Again,
it is.
No, it's not. It's line of, dude. It's line of sight.
I don't think you quite get. I don't think you're quite getting it. If it was going 100 miles, okay, right, it's line of sight. Okay, that would take a certain amount of time to get there. Okay, if it was instead bouncing off something in the atmosphere and off the ground and off the atmosphere and off the ground, even if you
it's
make
not. It's not. Instead of doing that, it's not doing it. I'm sorry, you're wrong. It's not doing it. You just keep invoking that.
Taking the piss out of my accent is not making your position any better.
Well, repeating the same thing over and over is not helping you either.
Well, the thing is that this is the point. This is the point. They're telling you, when I look at the people who know about this frequency of radio, that it does bounce around.
Okay. So
radio
signals can bounce.
So I ask, what am I
analogous.
I'm going to try it one more time. Let me finish what I'm proposing, and then at the end of it, say something. Okay. So if one of the signals was traveling 100 miles straight there, no bouncing around, yeah, it would take an amount of time to get there. Okay. If a similar transmission tower, a similar distance away, but somewhere else, was traveling there, but it was bouncing, say, twice off the ionosphere and twice off the ground, okay, it would take an amount of time to get there as well. We'd agree with that, wouldn't we? A different amount of time. The difference in time at the speed at which radio waves propagate, would be a fraction of the size of length duration one of these beeps.
You're just invoking that. Where's your evidence to back up what you just said about the Battle of the Beams specifically with the Knickerbein configuration?
Because everybody online that I'm reading in the blogs is telling me 30 megahertz radio bounces is propagated between troposphere and ground over greater distances than line of sight to the horizon.
So if it was a globe, it would be indistinguishable in the difference of time. So you couldn't prove that there was curvature affecting it, is what you said.
Well, no. I think the point is that, like, because especially with, and I'm looking at it, Beast. I'm reading this shit and I'm watching it, but like, radio propagation doesn't prove it either. Like, way. I think that's kind of the point. Like,
so it's like the curve is not there at all, right?
Well, no. I'm just saying this is a very interesting data point. Like I already took the L. I'm continuing to take the L. But like,
just read into it, bro. Before, yeah, you're good. And just look into it if you really haven't looked into it. The thing is, it's like, so what you're saying, Paza, is like there's no curve at all, right? The curve wouldn't affect it at all.
Well, I think it probably it might do. Look at this. I've sent you a link
it
there.
Should, according to the geometry of Earth, if it's a ball, it should, but it doesn't. That's the point.
Well, I don't think necessarily unless you quantify what the difference would be. Look at that site there that I've just given you. That's a paper in electronics notes.
Oh, look, tropospheric radio propagation. Called it. I told you that's not going to be a good reason, though.
No, but look at the picture. Look at the pictures in there, telling you what they know about the nature of this kind of signal and the fact that it can effectively be distorted around a contour. This is an article from a website where people deal about electromagnetic signals. These are people who make this their life, their passion, and they understand the physics of it.
Check it out. Check out this picture. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone's ever had like a ham radio, you can pick up like.
Not analogous.
Well,
the thing is, you keep showing me plan. You keep showing me plan pictures, but you need to look at pictures in the contour.
This demonstrates the geometry and why it wouldn't work on a ball. There you go.
Why is that then?
Go ahead, look at the picture.
Okay, so what's it saying? The two distances of the signals. What's the difference between line of sight and the bendy one? What's their length?
Just giving you some time to look at the picture.
Look at the picture. I see a green line and I see a red line.
Here's the FE explanation.
Okay, 3.47 miles to the beam size or the.
Oh man, I don't know.
I mean, we have other examples with microwave propagation too, bro.
Well, you guys never know when it doesn't fit your narrative and there's no explanation.
Well, hold on a second.
Or they just drastically Google for one, and then what did I say was going to pop up? Tropospheric induction. Hello. Scattering E layer. Hello. Bouncing off the ionosphere. Hello.
Yeah, but what you're saying is there's an explanation online I don't like, and when someone brings it up, you can go hello, like you know something.
No, it's just you guys are predictable with your explanations, but if you really look into tropospheric induction, it's not analogous. That's the point.
Well, you keep saying that. Show me where it says it's not analogous. It's not a function of tropospheric.
Because it's not bouncing. It's an echo signal.
Where does it say that? You don't know what an equisignal means. Equisignal does not mean it's bouncing. It means you are taking two signals and you're synchronizing between them.
Exactly.
Right. That means any refraction, any bouncing would definitely make it
would disrupt the signal.
Oh. No, it wouldn't. No, this is where the mistake you make. You don't look at them.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, see, this is why you can't talk.
It's literally called a Lorentz beam. It's a beam. It's just a straight line of sight beam.
What does a Lorentz beam mean?
Okay, they usually use it for blind landing, right? So they use this technology for aircraft to land on runways at night. Okay?
Yep.
That's what they use it for. But in World War II, they used it to bomb Derby. The Germans did. This is when it was first used. Derby, whatever.
Yeah, it's Derby. But the thing is that a Lorentz beam at that frequency will bend around the surface.
So that's what you're going to say then. You're just saying it bends around the surface? Because it has to, because we're on a ball.
Well, that's what all the experts say. I cited a paper from people who understand the radio signal who say that. You're the one going, nah,
I get it.
To something
no, I get it. It has to, because you have to justify your belief. I get it.
Well, it doesn't have to. But the point is that someone who's got an expertise is explaining what it does, and you're saying that I shouldn't listen to that. I should listen to you.
Are you gonna say something about microwave propagation?
No.
Troposphere.
Because it's not in the microwave spectral range, is it? These signals.
Right, 30
Well,
megahertz.
we have tests with microwave propagation, 300 miles or 300 kilometers. I don't remember. Line of sight.
But Lion, microwave is very different. Very different.
Okay, so you want me to pull those up? Because those exist too, bro.
I've got high frequency over 2,500 miles.
That's the thing. It says that 30 megahertz is at the upper end of the high frequency band, which can do skywave propagation. So let's grant you an olive branch, right? Let's say it is skywave propagation. Then that means that at certain points during the trip, there would be dead spots.
Why would you say that?
Because it's bouncing.
No, because they had a map and a compass, and they knew where they were flying to.
No, they didn't. They flew at night.
I know.
Yeah, the point of this signal is that it remains coherent along its trajectory.
Exactly.
It has to be a very sharp point, which is the target. So if it didn't stay along that path and not diffract, not spread out or bounce around, it wouldn't be meeting at the drop.
It's a very
that's not
when it comes to questions.
But any of those radio signals traveling, if one of those signals traveled 5 times as far as the other one in terms of its distance from the surface, okay, work out what that means as a time delay at the other end. If you take the speed of speed of light as the speed of those radio waves, work out how much of a beep, an audio beep, which a human ear is listening to, which must have been a fraction of a second, yeah. Work out how much difference there would be to how offset those beeps would be against each other because one of those beams traveled 5 times as far.
Well, it's also line of bearing, and that's what this is. This is line of bearing that they triangulated, and you can do that. You don't have to have a continuous transmission, right? It can ping, right?
It's not that though. It was a continuous transmission. That's the point of it.
I don't think it was. I'm reading what
you don't think it was. Yeah, you just started looking into it 10 minutes ago. Come on, Verdak.
No, I'm reading what you said, and it wasn't. And then what they actually did, they triangulated the position. They confirmed it over multiple points over the flight, and that totally makes sense to me. Like all of that makes sense, but I don't get where.
It's not multiple points. It's the plane was literally flying in the middle of the echo signal.
I'm talking about points in time, but yeah, okay.
It's just flying in one signal. If it veers off track, you get a less amount of beeps. So that's what let the pilot know that if it was flying on its correct trajectory, right, it kept it in line within tens of yards of a target that was 500 miles away. Do you understand? Like, this is why it's a globe killer.
It's not a globe killer. It really isn't.
Well, I have yet to hear a good reputation, so.
Wouldn't hinge your argument on this, to be honest, but
yeah, I mean, it's not even a signal timing synchronization thing. It's if you were flying in the middle, you heard both duration or both pitch of beeps, and if you were flying one side or the other, you'd only hear one or the other.
Right, so you have to fly straight, and then when you hear the cross signal, the beep 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 beep, that's when you drop the bomb, and it was accurate, and it was fucking up the Brits.
Well, you'd hear the cross signal all the way in transit across the Atlantic, wouldn't you? Or at least it depends. I suppose in the arrangement they had, in the arrangement they had for that particular thing, it was quite a small intersection.
Right, that specific configuration is what we're talking about. And there's no real good explanation. And even the guy, looking at it now, Eckersley, basically was like, it's impossible. The Germans don't have that because of because of the curve of the Earth, because Earth's a globe. It wouldn't work over the curve. They wouldn't have that. Let me find you the quote.
I'm looking.
I'll find you the quote.
No, where's the part that says it couldn't do it on the globe?
Yeah, R.V. Jones.
Most Secret War, 1978.
I mean, because everything you showed me,
Yeah.
like, I get some of their arguments, but like, I'm not seeing how this could not be demonstrated on either a flat or a sphere. Like, it just
Here.
it doesn't make any
There
sense
you go.
with propagation.
Some thought that such an idea was not merely fanciful, but impossible. A beam could not be that accurate. It could not, they pointed out, travel that far or curve around the horizon. So this dude had to convince them. He had to convince Churchill by creating his own tower to basically counteract the signal. He had to prove that there was a signal actually being sent. So he had to pick up the beam signal with his own radio. He made like some MacGyver type radio. It's pretty crazy. It was pretty crazy. It's a pretty crazy story.
Yeah, sure. Even then, they're thinking that, well, it must have curved around the. What does curve around the horizon mean?
Witsit is live.
Oh, thank goodness. Is he back on the flat?
I just want to try to understand where like Verdak is coming from. Do you think that the beam is deflecting or being diffracting off of the ionosphere, but at the same time that doesn't widen the beam to a point where it would be useless? It's perfectly reflecting like it's a mirror.
No, we literally do this every day. I think it's funny about what Beast just posted with Churchill's comments that are not highlighted at the end. That's a good source. I mean, I get it. But yeah, like radio propagation was like in its infancy in World War II, and like I get it. You can
imagine not believing somebody because of your, imagine not taking someone seriously because, oh, that's impossible because of the curve of the earth, and then your shit's getting bombed.
Beast, I'm not saying that, bro. I'm
just saying it's crazy.
Yeah,
Churchill's crazy for that.
Tropospheric scattering isn't coherent though. It's just it scatters out like like when you shoot a flashlight against the wall and then you get like this bounce of light that kind of shoots everywhere. It's like that, dude.
What does a radio signal sound like? What does an audio signal that's bouncing around sound like?
Well, dude, you know what's fucked up, Paza, is they actually have variations of this that are digital also. So like in both analog and digital applications, they got the same fucking effect.
Yeah, but that's the point, isn't it? Do they get a coherent signal at distances like with tropospheric propagation taking place?
I mean, I don't know. I took the L, went through it. I think I'm going to come back tomorrow with a W.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so.
Put money on it.
Yeah. Like how much money you got?
Well, I'm just saying, like, I don't know, man. Like,
no, how much money would you put on the globe? Come on, how much money would you put on this?
Oh, the globe. I put $100,000.
Yeah. Okay. So $100,000 on this.
What I'm talking about, the Battle of Beams incident. That's what I'm talking.
That's what this is. This is
very
a flat.
I deal with radio propagation
against. Okay, dude. This is like testing the null hypothesis. Either you support the globe or you don't.
It doesn't matter if I support the globe or not. You guys have valid arguments. This is why I'm here. Like this one is puzzling to me because I can't.
You just don't have the clearance for this type of information, bro. You haven't been given that top secret clearance to know this shit. That's all.
It sucks.
Thanks for making fun of me. I know.
Major L.
Yeah.
Sergeant Major L.
No, this is funny. A good one.
You don't know about Battle of the Beams, but you know about JAD C2, bro? Come on. Get out of here.
This is a good one. I'm not gonna lie. This is a good one. This one has my head spinning right now because I'm trying to figure out how the
I remember when we first talked, Verdak, you were like, wow, I can't believe a civilian knows about Joint Active Domain Command and Control. That's pretty wild.
Well, it's actually JAD C2P, but you were close.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's all good.
What's P? That's new. What's P stand for?
Honestly, it's false. Like all of it's false. Like we have this grandiose design that we're going to create, like this like singular thing that's going to connect all of us in the military and
Yeah.
fucking execute operations. But
And give
like,
you interoperability between all branches. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
fucked
exactly.
up. Using
Yeah.
the Internet of Things connected to a C2 server.
No, I mean that's what it is, man. But guess what? No one can get the ones and zeros to connect. I've been dealing with that for 2 years, so it's gonna be fun. I don't know. I will say, like, it's kind of interesting. Well, no, I won't say, but I was gonna change topics. Yeah.
Gio, are you home? You down for me to stream this Wits It live Flat Earth comeback?